is October 7th, and Caleb and I are out at one of his permission farms that he was nice enough to bring me to. There's been some really, really good bucks on this farm, and it's a really unique farm. It's just a really narrow draw, and where we're sitting tonight is on a really good natural crossing. There's a big ditch right here to our south, and then these deer are hogging this ditch, coming around the top, and it would be about a 30-yard shot, so it'd be about right in the chips. There's been some really, really nice bucks showing up that I would be extremely blessed to take. There's one buck that I particularly have my eyes on. He's got a big underhook on it. He's just a nice big 10-pointer with the third beam and some extra points. It's been a pretty hot October, and right now we got an east-southeast wind with a little bit of rain in the forecast, so that front might bring in some cooler weather. Also, I wanted to add in there that the neighbors have recently been harvesting all of their corn, so all the corn around us is gone besides the corn right here to our east. So I think we're going to be in the chips tonight. These bucks should be coming back from the north where they go to bed. We've been running cuttybacks in here all summer, and these bucks, it seems like recently, have been traveling south to north going to bed. So we should be in the chips tonight. How far? Oh, yeah. Is it? Get that GoPro turned on. Look like a 10-pointer. It very well could be him. Is it a good one? Real good one. I can just see his antlers. Well, that's gonna wrap up our night. It was a pretty slow night until me and Caleb looked at each other after what we heard was two bucks fighting, and then we could hear some raking, and we looked up and there was a really good deer making a scrape. It looked like a really big 12-pointer, so it was enough to get the blood pumping. We were both shaking, and now we're all giddy with excitement, but man, that was awesome. That's exactly what I love about deer hunting and what I love about Iowa, so we're gonna stay after him, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and if any luck, we can tag a buck like that caliber. But for now, I think we got Doe Fest coming up this weekend, so I'm super excited to do that, and you can slip out when I get the chance. Alright, here we go. It's October 8th and it's opening night of our annual Doe Fest. It's always a fun weekend. We try to get everyone together on the same page sometime in early October and do a little doe management. We have a few different groups out right now, and we'll put up what we came up with for a point system up on the screen, so you can see what we're competing against. But it makes things interesting, makes things fun, and rewards people for making good shots and getting good footage. Hopefully Matt and I have a good night and can get on the board and maybe jump out to an early lead. Alright, here we go. First evening of Doe Fest is October the 8th. As you can tell from the sweat dripping down my face, it's a warm one. Tonight, Grant, Ethan, and myself are going to try to pull what I call a triple-double. That's 2 trees, 3 stands, 3 bows, and 3 tags. Doe Fest 2021.
I barely made it out here. Just got done with work. Ryan and I ran out to the home farm. It's about 5:15, doing a hanging hunt down this bottom plot.
Well, that is something I've never done before, a boneheaded move. Before I left today, I wanted to shoot an arrow at 50 yards. Moved my slider down to 50 and completely forgot to set it back. So I just shot. I dove those 20 yards with my sight set at 50. Literally couldn't have asked for anything better. And I found a way to screw it up.
Things are not looking good. I know one thing for a fact. Tomorrow we're headed toward Acorns because we got greens here and behind us. Haven't seen a deer, so hopefully tomorrow is a little better.
We are actually set up for the second day of Doe Fest. This is my first morning out of the season. Excited to be in the tree this morning. Doe Fest 2021 continues. Ryan and I made the move down to the River Bottom Farm last night. We hunted the home farm yesterday afternoon. Made a short hunt after I got out of work. Saw a few does, but didn't have any luck getting one in range. As hunters, we're struggling. It's pretty rough.
I'm shocked at how slow it's been. I don't know what the deal is. I know it's hot, but it doesn't feel too bad this morning, and we came in, got in clean to a really good spot. Thought for sure we'd at least see some does, but we have not seen a deer. And it doesn't sound like the rest of the guys have done much better, so hopefully this afternoon we can figure it out. This is the opposite of what Doe Fest should be.
Let's make it happen. Let's go. All right. Let an arrow fly tonight, so we'll see what everyone else is seeing tonight, but it's been pretty slow otherwise.
I'll leave you guys with this. Late great words, Mr. Kenny Rogers. You gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold them. And I think I'm about ready to fold them until some cooler weather comes.
Well, as you can see, we really struggled these last few days over what was supposed to be a weekend full of shooting deer. And it's been really tough to figure out. I'm sure it's a combination of things. The weather's not ideal, but there has to be some other factors. I mean, we were sitting around talking about it last night. It's just super strange. I mean, even trail camera wise, not even getting pictures of deer moving around. I mean, some, but not what it should be right now. And so whatever that combination of factors is that has led to unbelievably slow hunting the last few days, I'd be okay if we never saw that combination again. This last stretch of 2 or 3 days has been some of the worst hunting that I can remember over a prolonged period like that. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. We have our first cold front coming through, and by the time this airs, it will be basically hitting us in Iowa today. So we're all very excited about that. You know, we talk about these October cold fronts over and over and over again. But this is the first one that we've had in Iowa this year, so this will be the first good potential hunting period. And it's not just the weather or the temperature change that makes it so good, it's the combination of things that come with a cold front, with the winds and the barometer, and in this case it's going to be precipitation too. It's going to rain essentially all day, and then hopefully let off in time to get an evening hunt in. But it's all those things that make for some really good hunting. And in my experience, my favorite time is to hunt right after a front passes through. I've had good hunts pre-cold front, but not as consistent as I do post-cold front. That first hunt after a cold front passes through, in my experience, has always been the best. So if a cold front passes through in the middle of the night, that next morning, is usually really good. If it passes through during the day, that first evening is really good. And the consecutive hunts after that can be good too. It just seems to kind of decrease with every hunt that you get past a cold front. So I really like to key in right after that cold front passes through. I haven't fully decided where I'm gonna hunt with this cold front that we're about to experience. I would really like to get in target Merino, but it's gonna depend on wind direction, because there's really just one spot that I would want to go in. It's pretty safe right now. So we'll see when I get that wind, if I get that wind sometime shortly after that cold front. But I'd love to take an early gamble at him and try to capitalize on him making an October mistake. So like I said, when this airs is going to be when the cold front's hitting here in Iowa. And if you're to the east of us, you can expect that cold front to be hitting sometime shortly after in your area too. So I would do everything you can to get out. It should, in theory, be some good hunting. Hopefully the best that we've seen yet this year. So we're going to join the other guys and let them fill us in on their plans for this cold front.
All right, guys, here we are, October 10th. We're back in here after that Wolverine buck. This is the first hunt for him. This draw you can see right here. We'll do a cutaway so you can see that. You can see the trees right there. That's where I've jumped him out a couple times, bedded right there. So if he's bedded there, we'd be in pretty good shape. But to the south of this is a really good-looking alfalfa field, and then standing beans beyond that. So I feel like he might be moving to feed that way at night. So hopefully he'd transition into here and stage up in this little plot. Then he moves that way and then comes back. But I don't know that to be a fact. I don't have cameras right in this area right here. That clover that we set up for him is just at the bottom of this hill. If you go north, drop down over this hill, that clover and that redneck are right there. But I don't know, from the other cameras, I haven't been seeing him, so I feel like he's probably heading south where I don't have the cameras. So that's why we're going to try this spot. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we have a better hunt than the last one. But these cold fronts, or in this case kind of a cool front, this one's just coming in here today, so I don't know if this hunt's going to be much better than the last few, but I like the next day after. Those cold fronts come in the next day and then the day after that. So the 2 days after the cold front's my favorite, with the next day being the best normally. But I like to kind of rate those cold fronts, scale of 1 to 10. Some of the early ones we had this year, just a few degree drop, maybe 4 or 5 degrees, and the wind would switch out of the northwest. Sometimes that's enough to get them up on their feet, but it's not one of those really great cold fronts where you just have to be out there. So sometimes I'll still kind of watch my cameras on those, and if he does daylight, and then I'd probably hunt him the next day. But like on one like we've got coming in tonight and tomorrow, that's a little better. I'd rate that at about a 5. It's all about that temperature differential. If you go from 80 degrees, which is what it's been in the 80s, for a high of like 50, I mean, that's like almost as good as you can get. Now, so this cold front's not quite that good, but it's supposed to be in like the mid-60s tomorrow. So it's going from high 70s to mid-60s with that wind switching to northwest. So I'd rate that one about a 5. And so with it being, pretty solid, I'm going to go to my better spots, like where I think I can encounter these bucks, like a spot like this for Wolverine. Or if I'm after that wide 8, I'd go to his core area where I think I'd see him. Versus early in the year, if I don't have a cold front, I probably just wouldn't even go to my best spots. So that's normally how I hunt these cold fronts. I'll still hunt the food. I mean, it's all about food this time of year. Even where they're bedded is almost always in relation to where they're feeding. So if Wolverine's using this corn with regularity, then he's probably 200-300 yards off this corn. Probably, most likely. But I mean, there's good cover all around it, so he could be closer. Well, let's sit in here for a couple hours and see what happens.
Well, as you can tell, Doe Fest was kind of a little bit of a failure there. As far as I can recall, this has probably been the toughest hunting I've ever experienced, not just in Iowa, but really as many seasons as I can think back on. I've been out several times in the past 2 weeks, really just on doe patrol every single time, and have really struggled. I could probably say that out of the amount of sits I've taken this year, I've been skunked more times than I've seen deer. Fortunately, I was able to scratch out a couple of does in the urban zone last week, so I've got 2 out of my 3 down. So I'm still trying to stay persistent and get that 3rd one down to earn the buck tag for next year. But ultimately, the hunting's been tough. I have not made a single sit after a buck this year, and neither has Grant. We have stayed out of our good permission farm over there in hopes that when the weather does turn, it'll be unpressured and ready for us to dive in there. Luckily, we do have some really nice weather finally moving in. It's going to bring in some rain in the next 24 hours, which I really like, having that rain, and then some cold temperatures to follow. The rain seems to be an important key, at least hunting scrape lines, to where the rain comes in and kind of washes out a little bit of the scent they've got laid down, to where when it does let up, and ideally with cool temperatures, these bucks are going to want to get up and go and freshen some of these scrapes. So that's going to be exactly my plan. I am not sure yet what side of the farm that Grant and I are going to try to target early this week with the nice weather. I'm tempted to go to the north side to this new poor man plot that we planted. We have been getting some decent pictures of 2 different bucks in the area, and some of them even pretty close to daylight, even though they're just a little bit after shooting light in the evening. So I'm hoping with this nice weather, a couple of these bucks will be tempted to get on their feet, and especially maybe even check some of these scrapes then right before dark. So the upcoming week's temperatures look really good. I'm just kind of sit back, monitor trail cams from home, and wait for that good weather front. It looks like Monday afternoon is going to be a nice shot to take with rain letting up hopefully midday. So we'll keep you guys updated, but the hunting's been tough. I'll say that. I've tried acorns, I've tried greens, I've tried beans, and I've struggled with all of them. So ideally, this weather coming in, it's going to get these deer up and moving. So you just got to stay after them. So we'll see what happens in this coming weeks.
Congratulations to Zach on being crowned champion of Doe Fest 2021 with his sole harvest of the ever elusive doe. That was a pretty rough couple days of hunting. Anyway, pretty humbling and fun to hang out with the guys nonetheless, and I'm looking forward to the next couple weeks here. We have our first really nice weather front of the deer season moving through Iowa as we speak. The high the last couple days has been 82 degrees, and then we've got 61 on Monday. And the rain is supposed to stop around 5 p.m. So I'm really looking forward to getting in a deer stand tomorrow night after work and making a move in on chubs. You hear people talk a little bit about the stages of the front, before the front, during the front, and after the front. And I find, the best time to hunt is probably that latter one. After the front comes through, the pressure's high or on the rise, and clear bluebird skies. It just feels great to be outside, and the deer seem to really be on their feet. And immediately when rain stops too, it seems to be something that gets them up out of their beds and on their feet. So my plans on this front are going to be to move into the home farm, into the cherry tree set, and go in after chubs. Chubs have been on camera 3 days since season is opened, on the 3rd, the 6th, and the 8th, and it's always been that first hour and a half right after dark. And we've had temps 75 plus degrees. And so I think he's bedding pretty close to that area, and it's nice to see him sort of calling that place home right now. I think my confidence in really being able to hunt him this fall has shifted in the positive, and seeing him get up that close to legal shooting gives me a lot of hope for this next week and these fronts that are moving through. Monday's going to be great, and then we have another good front moving through later in the week, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are shaping up to look really, really good in the extended forecast. So we're going to be climbing in that cherry tree set and hoping he makes an appearance. Another bit of exciting news is that we have gotten a few pictures of Dak. We mentioned it on the podcast. We got one single picture when Jared went to troubleshoot some camera issues we were having on the farm, and then I've got one camera on the edge of our property that's on the cellular system, and we got a couple pictures of him a couple nights ago. And the rest of our farm isn't cellular, so we haven't checked or pulled cards in about 10 days, and so I'm excited to see this next card pull, if he's really moved in there and he's on multiple cameras. That's what's happened in past years, and it's exciting to see him show back. And he's just a brute of a deer, giant body. He should be 6.5 years old this year, and he'll be one that as we move further into October and November, I'm definitely going to be spending some time down the River Bottom Farm chasing him. For all of you guys getting out here with this weather front, good luck to you, and we'll see you guys next week.